Okay, I realize in a course on how to make selections, it's going to seem awful strange for me to tell you when not to make selections, but it's important that you know this option is out there because sometimes you can save yourself a lot of effort if you don't actually have to make a selection. So, for example, let's say I want to change the color of the collar, the green part of her top here. Now, I could go through and try and select it all. I could, but it's not really necessary. And in the second example I'll show you, I think it'll be even more obvious. So what I would do is add a hue saturation adjustment layer. But what I'm going to do is go to this menu and pick any color. It doesn't really matter. In fact, even though I'm trying to get the green of her collar, and you don't know this, but I just pointed on my screen as if you could see what I was doing. But anyway, I'm going to pick blues and then take this eyedropper and simply click on the green area and hold down the shift key and click a little more. Now you won't see any difference yet until I move the hue slider, and now you can see we're changing the color. And of course I can change not only the hue but also the saturation. So let's change to a very different color. Looks like I need to extend this just a bit, a little more, something like that. Now, the downside to this is it's not going to select just this, or not going to affect just this area. Notice how the tennis ball has been affected, something up here, maybe even a little touch in her hair. But that's okay, because now I can simply go here to my adjustment layer, to the mask, take my paintbrush, make sure I'm all set to normal and everything, and just paint over the areas that I don't want. Oops, I went a little too far there. Make sure there's nothing happening in her hair. Make a smaller brush and change her tennis racket back if I want it to be changed back. So in this particular example, honestly, it probably would be just as fast to select her collar. Don't want the ball to be blue either. But take a look at this example. Remember back when we were talking about the pen tool, how much effort it took me to try and to select this using the pen tool? Well, check this out. If I once again add a hue saturation adjustment layer, pick some color, and then with the eyedropper, click on here, hold down the shift key and get a little more. Now what I generally do is just get started and then try and change the hue to something else and see how it looks. So for example, if we want a nice blue car, that's already looking pretty good. Now there's a few little areas here and there, so I could either take this eyedropper or simply hold down the shift key and just make sure that I'm getting any of those little areas in here that I want to add. Now, let's take a look at this for a second. That was pretty simple, wasn't it? Now, take note of one thing, though. When you do this, it's going to affect everything. So notice how the painted line on the road is now changed to blue as well because it was in the same kind of tone. So that's the only thing you'd have to be aware of. But again, not a big deal to take the paintbrush and paint with black over the areas that you don't want to be affected. So if you notice any, and you can pretty much turn on and off and see very easily. Now, there are a couple of places, for example, the tail light here, that's being affected as well. So I would have to go in and alter that. But you see, it's a whole lot easier and quicker. I was going to say more quick. It's a whole lot easier to do that this way than to worry about going in and trying to make a really accurate selection. So, why didn't I just show you this first? Because honestly, it's not going to be that frequent that this will be the perfect solution. But I want at least to make you aware of this, that if you're struggling trying to change something, especially if your goal in making the selection is to change its color, then I would try this pretty quickly just to see if it has even a hope of working. If it does, it's going to save you a whole lot of time of not having to make a selection first. So keep this in your bag of tricks just in case you come across a situation where you want to change the color. I would try this first before even touching any selection tool.